Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your host, the man, Nicholas, and I'm joined today by my guest. He's a big Dodgers fan, and today we're going to be talking about the Dodgers and Astros. But first, I'm going to let him introduce himself. Handing it on over to you, buddy.
What's up, guys? My name is Chris. I've been a Dodgers fan and pretty much a sports fan for since I was maybe about 9 years old, since I could actually, realize what the games were about and how they worked and everything. And I've been a Dodgers fan all my life. And, I consider myself a super fan because I could remember a lot of things that a lot of fans probably couldn't, even especially like scenarios that were happened before I was even born. So
Sounds good to me, which means that we're going to be using that beautiful memory of yours for today's topic, because we're not just going to talk about the hate feud between the Dodgers and Astros. We're going to talk about the recent matchup and what their next matchup is probably going to look like, but we're also going to be digging into the background of why they do hate each other right now. You good with that?
sounds good to me.
All right, let's go ahead and just start talking about how this feud began. And really, it began back in 2017, the World Series that pitted the Los Angeles Dodgers against the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros, this would be their first World Championship win in 7 games. They won it in the beautiful LA Dodgers little stadium right there. And if you could just say something and show everybody how beautiful that stadium is.
Yeah, this is the beautiful stadium that I try to go to at least once a year.
Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful stadium. Could be touched up just a little bit, in my opinion. But so the Astros won it there. And at the time, I don't know about you, but I was like, that's rough. I wanted the Dodgers to win for my dad. He's a big Dodgers fan. And he hasn't been able to see the Dodgers win a World Series since the 80s.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough loss. I was rooting for them the whole entire time. I wanted them to really win just so they can actually have a world championship ever since 1988. It was definitely one of the more rough losses for them because I felt like, especially in that last game with Yu Darvish, that he felt like he was kind of to blame a little bit, but then come to find out that necessarily that wasn't the case because they were cheating.
Oh, spoilers, man. Spoilers.
Oh, I think went a little ahead of myself there.
That's okay, because the next part of this whole feud is, so I don't think the Dodgers really had any bitterness against the Astros in the beginning, because it's like, okay, we went to the World Series and we lost. Oh, well, it sucks now, but hey, we'll try again next year against the Red Sox, who also cheated. And I don't think the Dodgers really thought anything of it. But then this previous season in 2019, the Astros were in the World Series again against the eventual winners, the Washington Nationals. And just because you're new here, Chris, and this channel was born just a little over a week ago, please congratulate the Nationals on the World Championship.
Oh, yeah, good job to them. I mean, they definitely deserved it. It was definitely a well-deserved win for them because of their record being a lot lower than a lot of the other contenders.
Oh, yeah. I've already talked about it with my buddy Connor, and the away team winning every game is stellar.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Not to stray too far off topic. So the Nationals win the World Series, and during the off season, prior to everything going on, news broke from The Athletic that Mike Fiers, a former Astros pitcher who is now on the Oakland A's, has come out saying that the Houston Astros cheated in the 2017 season, and won the championship. At first, I don't think the article was gaining much traction until another YouTuber, John Boy Media, actually made a video on this. And did you see the video where he was talking about how the Astros were cheating and everything?
Oh yeah, I did. I definitely saw it multiple times actually, to where it was very obvious that whenever the opposing catcher would throw out a sign, that you could definitely hear a bang or like two bangs. And I had to watch it at least several times just to kind of like hear it and see it at the same time.
Yeah, same with me. After watching John Boy's little video, I went over to MLB because they put up the full game on their YouTube channel, and you could just see in the comments little timestamps of when these bangs are. Sometimes I didn't really hear the bang unless my volume was way up. It was shocking, appalling, and it kind of makes you wonder, how did it not get caught in the first place?
I mean, I think when you're in the heat of the game, like at that very moment, you don't really notice it until somebody kind of points it out. Because with the fans roaring and everybody's just kind of cheering, it's kind of hard to hear any like sort of noise out over all of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. It still just upsets me, man. It's just the sports world. You're professionals. You shouldn't need to cheat like that to succeed. But, and this is where I get angry. I'm not a Dodgers fan. Though I like the team, I'm not a Dodgers fan. But I'm all about playing fair. And the Houston Astros punishment that Rob Manfred, after months of investigation into this cheating scandal, they got draft picks taken away. None of the players were suspended. One former player who went to be the head coach, I believe, or the general manager of the New York Mets, he stepped down in the wake of everything. There was so much going on, but it didn't feel like Rob Manfred handled the situation correctly. The Houston Astros still get to call themselves champions, even though if you look at their numbers, they were much better at home where the banging took place than on the road.
Yeah, I definitely agree. If you kind of look back in history and I'm going to dig up old history, the Black Sox scandal where, the White Sox had thrown the World Series, they did get paid for it. But if you look at every single player that was on that team, they got banned from pretty much anything. Even, one of the people that I feel that deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame, which is Shoeless Joe Jackson, got banned, even though he couldn't read.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking of that, the punishment wasn't good enough for the Astros. None of their players got suspended. They got their head coach pretty much, I think, either got fired or stepped down. And then he got banned for a year, and that was basically it. I mean, there was nothing else to really say, like, oh, everything else was just basically a slap on the hand. That's pretty much what it was.
And with how Rob Manfred handled everything, he also said, like, he wouldn't take away the Astros championship because it's just a piece of metal. This irked, I think, almost every baseball fan except for the Houston Astros fans, because it devalues what the players are going after. And if you're not going after like this great thing, what's the point of playing? Why are we paying these people millions of dollars if it's just a piece of metal?
Yeah, that statement he said was very appalling to me, to be honest. It was like, it's not just a piece of metal. It's something that, they showcase in their stadium too. Every team, if I'm not even sure if it's really like they make a new one every year. If they do, then like each team has theirs. Like, Dodgers have theirs from 1988. The Yankees have theirs from, I think it was 2007, 2008. You know, um, the Nationals have theirs from last year. So, it's not just a piece of metal. It's hey, we won everything. So, here it is.
Oh, yeah. I went to Detroit last season, and the Detroit Tigers have won 4 world championships, and they have a champions lounge. And in there is where the championships are displayed. And going in there, you really do feel like a champion, because it's like, here is all of this greatness. And for Rob Manfred to call it a piece of metal, it's just a room. It's just some room with metal. You might as well just have like a high schooler do metal shop in there.
Right.
But okay, so Astros made everybody angry. This is where the feud turns up, because as soon as the punishment came out, people were saying like, that's not enough. That's not enough. The Astros need to be punished. And then baseballers said, yeah, we have our own, self-policing policies whenever the top people don't get it done. And do you know anything about these policies, Chris?
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember at the beginning of the season, or even just before the season started, the Astros were playing the Royals, and I don't remember which players it was on the Royals, but they did, throw at and eventually hit to some of their top players. I think it was Altuve, Bregman, and Springer. So that was one of their way of policing their own punishment.
Yep. But it made everybody angry. And now during spring training, the Astros have a huge target on their shoulders. So now we're here. We're finally at the team's meeting. There was a big pause, lots of discussions to come back and play, but now we're here. The first matchup just this last week, just a few days ago, and it was a doozy. The Dodgers went ahead and they were down 2-0 early on, but they were able to come back and lead 5-2. John Boy Media also has another great video on this breakdown of something that happened in that game. We'll talk about it momentarily. But the Dodgers win the game. They win the first game. And how did you feel getting your revenge on the Astros? Was it good or was it not enough?
It felt good, but at the same time, like, I feel like until they actually can play again in the World Series fairly, it it won't be enough until then. But as of right now, it does feel good, and for now, it's enough. Like, I'm happy that they won. It's definitely a good feeling.
That's good. That's good, because you got a little bit more the next night. And this time, for added flavor, they did the extended game. They went to 13 innings, where I believe the Dodgers won 4-2. So the Los Angeles Dodgers sweep the Houston Astros in the first of 2 meetings this season. And it feels like justice. However, there was this really funny stat that I didn't even know about until, somebody posted it on Facebook. I can't say who for their identity's sake. It was you. Something very interesting that just kind of made that sweep feel so much better, if you could.
Okay, so in the 2-game series against the Dodgers, Jose Altuve,
One of
George
the big
Springer,
offenders.
Yeah, these are like the top 3 offenders in the whole cheating scandal. So Jose Altuve, George Springer, and Alex Bregman went a combined 0-24 in their 2 games against the Dodgers.
Oh, 0-24 or 21?
21.
Oh my God, these people suck. And Jose Altuve really won MVP a couple of seasons ago. Really? This is your MVP? This is a sucker. This whole team sucks. I hate this team. Not trying to be biased here. So, okay, great news. The top players, they can't get it done, which makes everything feel better. But during the first game, right at the end of the sixth inning, Joe Kelly decided to do some petty stuff. And as I previously mentioned, I don't know if you watched my first video, but I told Connor that as much as we want to police the Houston Astros right now, the smart coaches are going to tell their players, do not risk the game. You know, there's only 60 games. It's less than half of a normal season. Let's get through this, and then we'll get them next season. But Joe Kelly started to aim his balls towards the Astros players. And whenever he got the final strikeout, he gave them a little, you know, and told them to shut up and other words that I don't care to say right now. And that caused both teams to get up out of their benches and just kind of walk over to each other. Normally, this would be like a big brawl, but because of the coronavirus, there was no brawl. It was just like, hey, umps, tell them to stop saying mean things to us. What do you think of this situation? Like, Joe Kelly, he gets suspended for 8 games because of this, and the Dodgers head coach, I can't remember his name right this second, but he also gets a 1-game suspension.
So with
Dave
Joe
Roberts.
Kelly being suspended, I don't know. To me, it's kind of like a bad thing and I wouldn't say a good thing, but in some terms, it's kind of fair. And the fairness, because Joe Kelly didn't become a Dodger until the 2019 season, so it wasn't like it was his decision, or like it wasn't his series that he lost to them. He was still on the Red Sox, so it wasn't like he lost anything in it. But at the same time, I know his frustration that he won a World Series, whether he was a part of the whole cheating scandal between the Red Sox and the Dodgers or not. I could see his frustration with the Astros as well, because it's like, they went pretty much the whole season of 2017 cheating. But again, I'm sure somebody told him not to retaliate in any way or, throw at them. But, he went ahead and did it anyway. But the one thing that I will say was it was funny seeing his kind of like goofy looking face and like kind of mocking them in a sense. It was actually kind of funny.
I agree with you. Joe Kelly wasn't there for the original team, but I love that he's kind of embraced LA, because I'm sure a lot of those players had those feelings during those 2 games of just like, man, I really want to give it to these guys right now. And Joe Kelly was the only one who kind of was like, I got nothing to lose. We're up by 3. Why not, right? Or 2, I forget which. But in my opinion, MLB did the right thing in the suspensions. Maybe not the head coach. I could have done without Dave Roberts going on the 1-game suspension. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. But here's why. The Miami Marlins, 19 people in that organization have tested positive for the coronavirus. There's a big outbreak in Florida, but there's also a big outbreak in Texas and California. So specifically Southern California in the LA area. You provoked the Astros to the point where they did have to get up, and they were trying to semi-charge you. And right now, you're in 2 hot spots. It's not safe. And I don't think the Dodgers could, or not Dodgers, I don't think baseball wants to lose the Dodgers or the Astros. Can you imagine what would happen if 19 people in the Astros organization tested positive? Right now, it's the Miami Marlins. And not to be mean, but it's the Miami Marlins. Who cares? So in that sense, I have to side with baseball. I think they did the right thing by giving him the suspension. 8 games seems pretty long, especially in the shortened season, but that should equate to about a week and a half. So hopefully he'll be back on the mound pretty soon. But that's just my
Yeah,
take on it.
I mean, definitely not to be mean to Joe Kelly, because Joe Kelly is a really funny guy, especially with, the posts that he's made on social media. But he isn't the greatest reliever of all time. I mean, last season was kind of rough for him. So I don't think we'll miss him too much, but, time will tell.
Yeah. Right now, anybody can help. As long as the Dodgers can continue playing well, hopefully, maybe they will be the kings of quarantine. Uh, I like that. I just came up with that right now. I feel good about myself.
that was a good one.
Thank you. Okay, so we're about to wrap up this video in just a couple more minutes, but Chris, I really just wanted to ask you, how are you enjoying baseball being back? Do you think that maybe MLB could be doing things differently? How are you feeling about no fans being here? Just give me your impressions of everything that's been going on.
Well, I definitely like baseball being back. It's definitely one of those feelings that, kind of like going home after like a long vacation. It's been too long for me because, I like to watch baseball, watch the highlights and everything. The no fans part, okay, here's the thing about the no fans. I like it in a sense because you could actually hear the crack of the bat more. And I don't know if it's just me being, weird about baseball, but whenever I hear the crack off the bat of any player, it could be anybody. It just like it's that one sound that like it's like, oh, that's like the best sound.
It gets your attention, and I personally, what I've appreciated about no fans is actually the sound of a ball, like a really fast ball, going into the glove. For some reason, that is also a very satisfying sound, in my opinion.
Oh, it definitely is, especially when it's coming from a reliever like, say, a Aroldis Chapman, where he throws 100+ miles an hour almost every single pitch, and that just like that snap of the glove, it just, oh, it's something.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's something, all right. But do you think that baseball is doing the right thing by having the teams play in their home cities and traveling and everything like that?
Um, in some ways I do, because it's definitely a good thing that they're not going too far out, California to say New York. But at the same time, with the way things are right now with the coronavirus, especially because we can't get a hold on it, especially in major cities like Los Angeles, Houston, and Miami, it's kind of feels like they maybe rushed it a little too much to begin the season. I'm not going to complain for them bringing it back. I love baseball. I'm glad it's back, but at the same time, I feel like they just kind of pushed it a little too quick to not see where things were going to lead.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that baseball is back because it's like finally sports are coming back. It gives people hope, right? That hopefully soon we can get through this. But it also feels like baseball is kind of like the guinea pig right now. Football is probably going to be looking at them and eyeballing everything, seeing how it's going to happen. And I think it's too late for football to try and do a bubble, but they're watching.
Yeah, football is definitely, because it's the last sport to pretty much start in the course of a year. It's definitely gonna keep an eye on the NBA, MLB, and if hockey even starts up again,
Tomorrow.
then tomorrow. Oh,
Tomorrow, I will be having a video about that. So, Chris, you stay tuned because right now I don't have that many people.
I'll definitely be watching out for that one because hockey is another big one. The big four. They're trying to all come back at the same time, really. So they're all keeping an eye on what they're doing, and hopefully everybody can do it safely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just a quick little thing. With how close all the sports are coming back, and we're going to be getting an extended play, it's not like normally where it's like you got basketball and hockey preseason and then baseball finishing up right whenever football starts. It's like all of them are having meaningful games. It feels like an episode of SpongeBob where Squidward has the big old funnel in his mouth and Krabby Patties are going into it and just filling him up. I can't get enough of it. I'm going to be bloated from sports coming soon.
Oh yeah, me too. I mean, with basketball coming back and hockey's, like you said, tomorrow, it just feels like everything's just gonna hit you right in the face right at once. It's crazy.
It's great. It's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Chris. You've been a beautiful, beautiful guest on the show. Just a quick round of applause for you. Thank you so much. And is there anything else you would like to say?
Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers, indeed. All right, man. You take care. And to everybody else, I'll see you on the next one, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you and goodbye.